Hi, Ashley here with HeartHookHome.com, and today we are going to learn how to crochet the Aligned Clusters Stitch. This is cluster rows separated by single crochet rows that are similar to the moss stitch. This is actually a very easy, very fun pattern to work up, so let's learn this together. To start the Aligned Cluster Stitch, you want to start with a multiple of 2 plus 1 for your chain. Then you're going to chain one more to start the row. So effectively, you need to start with an even number of chains. Here I have 10 chains. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to place a single crochet in the second chain from my hook, right in that back bar. We're going to chain one. We're going to skip the next chain and we're going to put a single crochet in the next. Chain one. Put a single crochet, skip one, and put a single crochet in the next. Chain one, skip that one, and put a single crochet in the next, and we're going to do this all the way to the end of the row. Get to the end, we're going to place that single crochet right there in that last stitch. And now we are ready to start our first actual cluster row. It looks a little funky so far, right? You see all these holes? That's what we're going to be using to place our clusters. To make your first cluster row, chain one and turn. First thing we're going to do is we're going to place a half double crochet right in this first stitch, right in that very first stitch. Now we're going to place a cluster in this chain space from the previous row. To do that, we're going to yarn over, go into that chain space and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 only. We're going to do that a total of 4 times. 3, all in that chain space, that same one. And then 4, pull through just those 2. Now by the time you have those 4 on your hook, you should have 5 loops total. What we're going to do is yarn over and pull through all 5. And that's your cluster. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do the same thing in that next chain space. So yarn over, go in that chain space, pull up your loop. We're going to do this a total of 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, and there's your cluster. Chain 1, and let's go into the next chain space right here. Got my 5 loops on the hook, pull through all of them. We're going to do that one more time in this last chain space right here. Chain 1 and do your cluster in that chain space. And I've got my 5. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 5. And I'm going to not chain 1 on this one. Since we are at the end of the row and this is our last stitch right here, we're not going to do an extra chain 1. We're just going to put a half double crochet right in that stitch. So that is our first cluster row. Now we're going to do a row of single crochets, then we'll work the clusters into those single crochets. So chain 1 and turn. Start with a single crochet right in that first stitch. Chain 1, single crochet in between these clusters. Chain 1, single crochet in between these clusters. And do this all the way to the end of the row. When you get to the end, there's no space in between these, so you're just going to put your single crochet right in the top of that half double crochet. And that's your single crochet row. these should be pretty much, you shouldn't be able to see these very well at all. The only thing you're going to be able to see from this row when you're finished with your project is these little V's that go down in between the clusters themselves. To start a new cluster row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to put our first half double crochet right in this first stitch. Now we're going to place a cluster in this chain space. And I've got my 5, yarn over, pull through all 5. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to cluster in the next chain space. This is the last chain space of the row. Place one more cluster here. And since this is the last cluster of the row, I'm not going to do a chain. I'm just going to put my half double crochet right in the top of that stitch. And now I'm ready for another single crochet row. So you just keep alternating the single crochet rows. See, this is all that you can see of those, is that little V. Isn't that cute? And then the clusters will always be perfectly aligned with each other, which is why we call it the Aligned Clusters Stitch. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to crocheting with you more soon. Thanks for watching.